This video is brought to you by Squareface.
What's up, YouTube? My name is Jamie, and this is Devil's Customs and Creatures. In this video, we will be assembling a robot for the Big Bot Bash 3. Let's see what I rolled. For head, I got whole, arms short, body dumpster, legs runners, flavor minor. I normally don't sketch out anything before I build, but because this build-off has specific parameters, I wanted to kind of get an idea of each piece and how I would put them together. Please don't mind the chicken scratch. Seeing as how I rolled dumpster for the body and miner for the flavor, I instantly thought about the Big Red Mining Company, and I set about designing a robot that had kind of a conveyor front with a dumpster back, so that way there the mining company could sort through the rocks and rubble and find the treasures they're looking for. I kind of took inspiration from a wood chipper without the chipper part. Now it was time to find parts. I'm going to be honest, for the amount of junk I have stuffed in totes, I'm really finding it difficult to find parts that I need, especially when it's something like the Big Bot Bash where you have to kind of go along with the guide. So here I am just trying to see what I want to use for it. I thought this little clamp arm would be cool. I was trying to just grab a base here that I thought might work for a good base for the actual machine itself. And just kind of going through all the rubble here that's on my desk. Wasn't sure really what I was going to do. I kind of didn't have the parts that I needed. And then I stumbled across this cell phone holder from the discount store that no longer worked. I thought this would be cool because it already had a hole in the head and the arms were already short. Two things off the list. After some searching, these are the three parts that I came up with. The cell phone holder, this stand, which I wasn't sure what it was from, and this battery box, which I ended up not using. I just thought it looked cool and it might make a good body, but there wasn't enough real estate in it to be something that was useful. Using these two pieces kind of gave me the design I was looking for with the wood chipper front. Small arms would be holding the box, and the head would be a light to light up the mines. This did originally light up, but I wasn't able to save that feature. I was happy that it was held together with screws because I needed to get this clip piece out in the back, so having the screws made this easy work. Now that I had the clip removed, I ran into my second issue. I wanted to have the box be a pass-through box, but obviously with the solid back of the robot, that wasn't going to be possible. So I had to come up with some illusion to go ahead and cut this out and make it seem like it was a pass-through. After a quick trip to the Dollar Tree, I found this construction vehicle, and I thought it would make a perfect body for the dumpster body. I got the body modified and added on the pass-through piece. I used screws here to make it adjustable, so that way there when I lifted the dump body, the robot body would remain vertical. Now I just needed a piece of styrene to cover the top to complete the illusion. I used a bit of crafter's magic and took some EVA foam and attached it to the robot body. This was because attaching it to the bottom part of the robot was really thin plastic, and the EVA foam really helps to seal it. Even though there aren't many rules for building a robot in a fake world, I do believe that each robot should have some realism. Things like power supplies, communication back to base, and functionality. I was hell-bent on getting this to function as an actual dumping machine, and in the end I had to be flexible with the design, as the parts I chose were not really conducive to what I had designed originally. I bought some styrene tubes to make some working pistons, and unfortunately was not able to figure out a good way to do this. So I just added one to the bottom to add a little bit more realism to the build. I wanted to add a curtain to the front to sell the illusion of a working conveyor belt. So I broke out some EVA foam and I went ahead and carved out some slats to kind of replicate a plastic curtain. As you can see, I cut a couple of the flaps haphazardly just to show some wear and tear. If you remember, what I rolled for legs was runners. I decided to remove the apostrophe so it would say runners, kind of like skis or runners on a helicopter or runners on a sled. A little bit of artistic license here. I wanted to put the robot on skis so that way the mining company can pull it through the mine, or it could sit on the tracks. And here they are attached to the robot. I used a lighter to melt the ends to push them up a little bit like a ski and attach them with two other pieces of styrene. As you can see, the balance here is a little bit off because of the weight of the build. However, in an elevated stance, it stood just fine. This is when I decided I had to create a base. If you have a wife like mine, you probably have 1,000 of these candle toppers laying around. They make great bases. All you really need to do is sand down the lettering and you have a nice solid base. Due to the larger size of this build, I decided to use cabochons instead of rhinestones for the rivets. I did use some rhinestones here and there, but to plug up these holes, I just used these glass cabochons, and they did the trick. At this point, I felt the build was complete. I had enough greeblies on there to go ahead and make it functional. I added my power supply in the back there. I did have plans for an antenna, but I was doing that after the paint. I had my runners, I had my rivets, I had all my functionality parts, and now it was time to prime. And here it is after a weak attempt at a zenithal prime. I painted it black first, and then I hit it from above with some gray. I'm still working on my priming skills, and as you can see, my little turntable was not strong enough to turn this around. So here it is after the prime. I love this stage, as many of us do, when all the items come together. But now it becomes the daunting task, at least for me, to get the paint on. I wound up choosing a construction yellow color to start with. It is kind of cliche, but I like the color for these robots, especially robots that are utility ones. Watching a lot of these robot videos, I feel like I sometimes paint backwards. I first gave it a sponge paint here, as you can see, which covered a lot of it, but it's a lot of little areas that you can't get into with a sponge. So I went ahead and followed up with just a regular paintbrush to fill in a little bit more of the solid areas and the areas that were hard to reach. So here I'm choosing a lighter version of the yellow to go around the edges to show some wear and tear, and this is where I'll start my weathering process. It's always good to use a version of the base color around the wear and tear edges to show faded paint, and then you can really throw on your chipping and rusting effects from there. Here's where I think I'm going a little backwards. I'm using the silver at this point, when a lot of people would use silver towards the end of the paint job to show exposed metal and stuff. I feel like the silver underneath a lot of these layers gives it more of a wear and tear color, and some of the silver does stick through, and I do leave that. It's hard to explain, but you can see it in the results. And that's all I'm going to say about painting in this video. If you guys have any questions, you can always ask in the comments below or email me directly, and I'd be happy to help out. By all means, I don't feel like I'm a professional painter, but I think I do get really good results at the end. I'm going to give you some lore on this robot and what he does and who he does it for. And while I'm doing that, you can enjoy the weathering process. In the blasted, lawless expanse known as the Gutterlands, the Big Red Mining Company operates where few others dare to tread. This dwarven outfit, clad in dented armor and guided by generations of hard-earned instinct, digs not for gold or gems, but for the unstable remains of ancient wars. Buried shells, shattered siege cords, and volatile arcane munitions left to rot beneath the ash-choked soil. The land itself is treacherous, riddled with sinkholes and dormant explosives, yet the dwarves press on with methodical precision, marking safe paths with red iron stakes, their signature claim. What they recover is as dangerous as it is valuable, sold off to mercenaries, collectors, and shadowy powers eager to reclaim the destructive might of the past. In the Gutterlands, fortune favors the fearless, and no one embraces that truth more than the Big Red Mining Company. And here it is, folks, my entry for the Big Bot Bash 3. I never really came up with a name for him, so if you have any suggestions, please feel free to post it below. As you can see, my turntable is a little small for this build, so I'm going to go ahead and get some glamour shots for you. I'd like to thank Bill Making Stuff for hosting yet another awesome event, and I love watching all the videos, and you should too. I hope you enjoyed the video. Again, sorry for some of the audio issues. Still stuff that I'm working on here. Be sure to check out all the other videos. Search for hashtag BigBotBash3. And until the next one, be well.